Hey everybody, happy Saturday. I hope you guys had a great week. So we're gonna have a bit of a quicker one this week, and we're revisiting something that I talk about all the time, and I talk about it all the time because it's important, but I want this more as a reminder, and we're talking about emotions again. And I know that previously, typically when I talk about emotions, I talk about them as indicators and kind of your intuition starting to speak to yourself. But what I want to talk about today specifically is allowing yourself to feel emotions and to allow yourself to actually move, let me rephrase this. Allow your emotions to move through your system because again, they are energy, but it is really difficult sometimes. Sorry, itchy nose. They are really difficult when they are, what we would say is negative or what we would identify as bad. Now, emotions, when I say this, I tend to not label emotions like that because I think they all serve a purpose. But in terms of this example, I'm going with the bad or the negative because that's how they feel. I'm really identifying and talking about emotions that are painful to deal with and things that make us extremely uncomfortable where, we want to move through them as fast as we can or we want to just ignore them. And I think the reason this is so important is because, guys, if you don't allow your emotions to move through your system, they are energies. What happens? They cultivate into more serious things, whether that becomes physical ailments or maybe that becomes emotional stagnation, depression, anger, blowing up at people unnecessarily. It's all these different ways that our emotions are going to choose to express themselves or to move through. And so what our goal is to learn how to allow emotions to actually, move through our system without them getting stuck, right? And it's easier said than done, obviously. And it's so hard. Oh my gosh, guys, it's so hard. I mean, when we're experiencing grief, when we're experiencing even, a little bit of a different comparison with the emotion, but almost the grief over not being able to reach something that we desire. And I know that sounds like a very weird comparison, especially if you're somebody who's like, how do you compare that to losing somebody? But it's a different expression of the emotion in the sense that we have to give ourselves space to understand that sometimes when we have been working really, really, really hard towards something and then we quote unquote fail at it, there's a grief that happens with that. And there's a pain and there's a struggle and there's a feeling of less than, there's a defeated feeling, like all of these emotions that come with, these experiences. And sometimes it's, over perceived failure. Maybe it's over life not working out the way we want it to. Maybe it's that we're working really hard towards a goal and we just can't seem to get there. Maybe it doesn't even make sense and we just feel less than that day, right? Like there's all these different things, but the importance is to learn how to allow yourself to actually experience them and not resist them. And it's so much easier said than done, as I've stated, because who wants to sit in these awful feelings? And I'm not saying you have to sit in them, but it's about allowing them to move through. Elizabeth Gilbert says, and I say this all the time, that when she talks about grief specifically, is that depression is not allowing, whereas grief is allowing. And I think that's a really important thing. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I have a lot of clients who are they're very good at learning how to move through tough situations and choose to have a good attitude and choose to be really positive about it, which is awesome. I mean, it's really great to have those tools. But there always needs to still be that space to just allow yourself to feel those emotions. Because, guys, the objective when we're in these tough situations isn't necessarily to move through them as quickly as possible. And I know we like to trick ourselves into that and thinking that, but that's not really true. Sometimes we just have to allow ourselves to experience that. And, sometimes that is just being sad. Sometimes that is just allowing yourself to feel defeated and to allow yourself to feel less than. And sometimes, that means you have to stay at home and just watch TV or, just kind of, I call it denning when you need that, almost that safety and that space to be able to re-energize. And that's okay. Allow yourselves to feel that, I had a recent experience where I was just, injuries. It's always coming back to my injuries of just not being able to move forward and just feeling defeated. And it was really funny because, some people's reactions, and I mean, it was totally out of love, was like, oh, okay, well, let's come spend time with these wonderful people. It'll help you feel better. And, because they want me to feel better and it's coming from a place of love. But for me, it wouldn't have allowed me to move through my emotions. What would have happened is I would have had to stuff them because, for me, when I'm feeling those really intense emotions, I'm way more reactive. I'm way more just get frustrated over the stupidest things. and I'm more sensitive. And so it's not really fair for me to be out at those times, because that's honestly, I've learned through tough experiences that that's often for me when I get in like really irrational fights with people. And so I just, to protect them and protect myself, I just know that I need that time to be home and to just feel it and just feel sorry for myself, you know? And then I'll pick up and start moving through it the next day. But that is for me how I don't resist it, is I just allow myself to experience it. And then I stay home, and then it's just then that's when I start bringing in techniques to not sit in it, because of course if we sit in it we stagnate. But I use that example, and it's not going to be the same for everybody, but that's how I know when I have those really, really tough emotions, how I have to give myself space to experience them. And then when I start to move through them, it's actually allowing those emotions to move through, as opposed to just ignoring them and trying to get through it as quickly as possible. And so that's pretty much what I want to talk about this week, is learning for you guys to figure out what is going to help you actually allow yourself to let those emotions go. Maybe it is just this simple practice that is very difficult to apply. But I like to say it's simple because it sounds simple, of just learning to witness your emotions and not over identify with them, and just witness and experience them, and not try to, suffocate them, not try to stuff them. Like the example of what happens when, you have a toddler having a tantrum. Sometimes you just need to let them have that tantrum, and it's as simple as that, is that you're not in it with them. You're not over identifying with it. You're just letting them have that tantrum. And sometimes it's the same thing with our own emotions. We just have to let our emotions have that tantrum, and we just need to watch as it happens. You know what I mean? So what is it for you? And I really encourage you guys to do this, because I promise you it will help your life so much more, because you will find that emotions, you do develop your emotional capacity, but you actually are respecting and honoring yourself so much more, because you're actually giving yourself the space to heal, which is the most beautiful thing, most beautiful gift we can give to ourselves. And so, that's it, guys. I hope you have a really wonderful week.